and how it really. He's so consistent. He's just a beautiful guy. And the other thought, and I'll wrap it up, was we're all here for such a short time. When we're kids, a day is like a week. We can't wait to grow up. And then you grow up, and time starts to speed up. And you have kids, and it speeds up even more. And then at some point, you're nearing 50. It just goes so fast. And once the people that we love and we made an impact on just around us, once they die, like memories of us, like Da Vinci or Bill Gates, or if you're Bob Hope and you have a hospital named after you, street named after you, and written that in history books, people remember you for longer than just the people you immediately impacted. But there's another way to make an impact, and Jer made that impact, and it was that the love he had for students and for the people that came into his life, he was so unconditional in his respect, and he helped people to love themselves as they were and accept themselves. And I imagine a lot of us, we're parents, and we're going to parent our kids and have impacts on our families that are touched by the way that Jerry was with us. And he's an example of a human making a human impact. And I miss him, but he's like a thread woven in the fabric of my life, and I feel him so present. Anyway, that's all. Thanks.
Thank you very much there, Bo. It was great. Next up is my brother Eric.
There's really nothing that can prepare you for this. I got a lot of topics to talk about and could never really sit down with them. But prior to me saying everything I want to say, I just want to thank everybody, like Sketch and Dan, who tirelessly helped my dad after the heart attack when Rob or I might not have been there. My heart goes out to Sketch. When Rob and I were initially not sure that we wanted to have him move in, I confessed that. I was skeptical. Rob was probably maybe a little too, and we had him in, and he has just proved himself. And thank you, Sketch, and Dan, who tirelessly helped us through that tough time. Has my never-ending gratitude, and everybody else too. Wendy, Brad, Martin, everybody who came by, really just made a tough times an unmanageable thing manageable. And there was a lot of things I saw on Facebook, numerous things, and one hit me harder than the other. If you ever saw a painting you couldn't live without, or you saw a piece of glass, if you're a glass blower you just had to have, or maybe when you were a kid your favorite toy in the toy store, there's one thing that just hit you, and I'll quote, "Truth rings a bell." It's one of my favorite quotes from one of the SRF ministers. And I saw on Facebook a lady said that she became a teacher because of my father. So I'd like to have her up before I speak and honor her story. And that'll be a treat for me and Rob, because whatever she tells us we didn't know about our dad. So Nadia, please come up, say whatever you want to say. And then I'll get back to you.
tried to save me over and over again. I kept fighting, kept fighting, kept fighting. He tried to save me the last time, and I was kicked out, and I had to go to continuation. There at continuation, I ended up having a baby. I went back to Culver, and I set my son into his lap, and I said, "You're going to be his counselor." And I think the guy's name was Sketch, said that he was an emotional person, and that's when I saw him tear up. And I was like, "Why is Mr. Neason tear up?" Years later, my nephew told me that he spoke in his creative writing class about a kid that came and set her baby in their lap, and that was my son, that was me. And I never got to go back, and I said, I'm going to bring Christopher there as a teenager and talk to Jerry and say, hey, you're going to be a counselor now. But I became a teacher because of him, so I was never able to go back to talk to him. Years later, thank God for Facebook. I'm talking in Facebook about, oh, remember Mr. Neason? And so all these people are saying, Jerry. And then I finally find out he has a Facebook. And so we spoke maybe once or twice, but it was enough for me that I got to speak to my mentor. I really got to speak to him. So then I'm talking to Eric recently. And he invites me here, and I'm so honored, like, oh my God, I can really come and I can pay my respects to him. After I finished Facebook and then telling him all, you have no idea how many people touched your father. Apparently you do, but I had no idea that it's been going on this long. I stopped, closed my computer, and I found a letter that he wrote me. And it says, D, because I went right in, because I thought that was so cool. Sunrise, because remember I was kicked out of Culver City High School, so I went to Sunrise continuation. Sunrise sent over the photos for the recent graduates and entries of the counselors from them out. When I got to yours, it was really thick on all of your referrals from middle school. I found your picture, and I thought you might want to laugh and then maybe reflect on how you were then and how you are now. I hope your life is going well. For you, and that now and then you're touched and now and then you touch and feel the best things in it, and that you recall that I saw it first. Peace and love, Jerry. Thank you.
It's good to go with a hunch. Thank you, Nadia. Sincerely. Been blessed with a lot of support, letters, emails, phone calls, social invitations. Daryl and Lisa, thank you. Last weekend was fabulous. I just want to, how many people are students, how many here were actually students with my father? It's a pretty fair amount. How many did he just counsel, but maybe not take creative writing? And you know, I'll have to tell you, before my dad retired, it was my mom's idea, and probably the best thing I ever did. I went down to Culver City High before the lunch, and I watched 2 of his creative writing classes to see what brought this multitude of people in and out the front door that sometimes I wanted and sometimes I didn't. And my dad, it was great to witness. My dad had a spontaneous, interactive style with the kids. And I got to see firsthand, and it humbled me, him in action was different than my dad that was reprimanding me, because you all saw the side of him where there was no reprimanding or discipline because you weren't his kids. Whereas maybe Rob or I were fighting like cats and dogs. We had to get spanked or whatever we deserved. You know, it was like stepping into a different arena. And I'm thankful for that. And my dad was truly gifted. He was genuine, warm, witty. He'd interact with the classes. He'd call people out. He didn't pull punches, but he never took anybody's dignity away. There was no meanness. He'd interact with the kids in the class in a dignified way, in a kind way. And it was really something to see. And it explains everybody being here so well. And it's like he created this arena where you were safe and you could play and you could just be a human And his word for just being was amming. And that was my dad. You knew him and you could just come and be. And whatever was on your mind, you could hand him and he would take it. Unconditionally, lovingly, with tenderness, with grace. And that really was his gift. And that's, you don't go to school and your teachers aren't like that, but my dad was. And you know, that's intimacy, that's comradeship. And he was a natural born host. So, you know, I use the word devotion. He was devoted to the students and friend. Our front door was always open to someone in a rough patch. If any of you that needed someone to talk to at a tough time, my dad was there. And that's humbling, you know.
Hanging.
How much battery life we got left?
I don't think you got much left.
The other thing I want to say is the foundation of that is trust. You all knew you could trust my dad.
Swing with that.
With your secret, with whatever. My dad instilled a level of trust you'll rarely encounter.
Yeah,
And that
I
was
go up
another
after
gift and thing that made him
I'm gonna
special.
move up front.
So I want to read something out of a Muhammad Ali book that I think summarizes my dad a little bit. And if I could write poetry, I wish I had written this myself.